What's good, good people? Welcome to Whole Views. Thank you for clicking that thumbnail. My name is Corey, and today we're going to be talking about the angry black girl and her monster. So the title might be jarring for some people, but I want to say that this movie is a pretty good movie, and I want to talk to you today about the ways it succeeds and the ways that it slightly falls short of the goals that it set. The movie is written and directed by Bomani J. Story, and it's starring Layla Hayes and Chad Coleman primarily. You know, those two are the ones who deliver the most impactful performances and probably get the most screen time. Next to Riley Stith and Amani Summer, like those are the people that you're going to see most on the screen, along with Denzel Whitaker. That's your pretty much cast that you're going to see. Everybody else just has a few lines and they're kind of in and out. So let's talk about performances first. Layla Hayes is very, very good. I think the only spots where she misses in this film would be, I would attribute it to probably direction or maybe editing. You know, like you kept the wrong take in one little emotional part, but when it comes to the mad scientist that she's trying to capture, like they call her that in the film a few times, she really knocks that part out of the park. And one of the things that I think you really need if you're going to be this brilliant genius who like plans to invent things, there's a little bit of obsession, which she nails, and there's a little bit of crazy, which she also does pretty good at. So I'm pleased with her performance. I thought it was a very good one, and I'm only thinking of one instance where there's an emotional beat and she really kind of misses it to me, but it's toward the end of the film and it's not the biggest deal in the world. Again, it could have been just editing, like we kept the wrong take here, maybe she did a different beat, or maybe we just stayed with this piece of film too long and we could have made that scene shorter. But besides that, I thought her performance was damn near perfect. It was a very, very solid performance. And I'll say the same thing of Chad Coleman. I like Chad Coleman and everything I see him in. I'm about to watch The Wire for the first time this summer. So everyone knows him from Cuddy from The Wire, I believe. I actually know him as Tyrese from The Walking Dead. That's why I was introduced to him. That's why I spent the most time with him as an actor. And I really grew to love that character. And I liked that show while he was on it. And it kind of declined after he left. I've seen him in a bunch of other smaller parts. And I really like his performance here. He really plays that struggling father role very, very well with passion every time you see him on the screen. Amani Summer is another bright spot. I feel like she does a very good job and plays very innocent when she needs to, and also plays like the bad little kid when she needs to too. Good job from most of the performances. I don't really see anybody's performance here that was something that you need to talk about like, oh, they missed it, or it was a big deal that the performances weren't good. The performances are not the failures of the movie. The performances are a bright spot. And the movie, if you just take it as a horror and just look at it for that, it really shines, because I watched this on demand. So I'm looking at it on an iPad with the sound in my ear. Sound design, great stuff. As jump scares happened, they felt genuinely scary because you don't know exactly what's going on or what's gonna happen. And it just set up a lot of tension, and it set it up very well. That's good writing and directing, I feel. African Americans have been doing their thing in horror this summer. The last one I saw was The Blackening, and that one was way more comedy than horror. And the tense moments that they attempt to set up do not feel tense at all. That feels as though you're watching a straight comedy. Here in this movie, it feels like a horror. And the idea of like this girl being Dr. Frankenstein and obsessed with death, all those ideas came along quite well, and she delivered. I feel like the cinematography was done very well. There were some unique shots in the opening, and that's kind of what you want. You want to have a viewpoint that really catches people, and it opens like that, and I really enjoyed that. And it kind of continued throughout, and I really enjoyed the way that the movie was shot, not just the performances and all the other stuff. And the last positive I'll say to round everything out is that it is not a textbook ending. Most movies that have this kind of feel to it, you're gonna end in a way that we all know is familiar. Like, oh, this doctor knows that they went too far by creating this monster and now they have to destroy it and just basically shut everything down. But this one ends in a way that I feel like is hopeful, and it gives you a sense of genius confirmation from our main character, and then, like, she was right in a lot of the things that she was saying and a lot of things that she was doing. Maybe the application of that didn't deliver as well as some people may like, but I thought that's a cool way to end it and shut this thing down with a different spin, as opposed to going the traditional monster comes back for one final scare, or bad guy realizes they did bad things and now they have to pay for what they've done. Like, you don't see that ending here with this movie. It's way more hopeful of an ending, and I felt it. Now, on to the one area that I feel like the movie failed or just didn't do what it set out to do. And the word that came to mind was pretentious. And I had to look it up and make sure that it was the right word to apply to this movie. And you know what? I think it's the right word to apply to this movie. It's not pretentious in a overt way, whereas you can tell that the writers here think that they're smarter than everybody else. That is not really what you're getting here. I just think that when the movie was being made and the dialogue was being written and the themes I feel like they were trying to hit just kind of fell shortly out of reach. Like, they didn't necessarily hit the points that would get people talking as well as they thought they would. I don't think that the movie will be a conversation starter like they wanted it to be in a bunch of different areas. So without spoiling it, I think the movie wants you to think about and talk about racism in America. This is the very same weekend that the affirmative action ruling of the Supreme Court, they've struck it down, like it's done, it's no longer a thing. And I think that would be a point that the movie wants you to think about, because there's some elements of that here in the film. They want you to think about police brutality and the treatment of the black community with over-policing and unjustified killing of black males. Like, you see that kind of pop up in the film. They want you to think about gang violence. They want you to think about drugs being peddled to the black community. They want you to think about systemic racism in America. There's a lot of things that are like touched on in the movie, but they don't really do a great job at giving you thought-provoking dialogue or some event in the movie that is good enough or strong enough for you to be chewing on for a long period of time. That's the pretentiousness of the film to me. Like, they want that dialogue to happen, but I don't feel like the movie really delivers a lot of scenes, a lot of exposition, or a lot of situations where, like, hey, we need to talk about that because that is this. Not really. It very lightly touches those areas and then moves on to something else. So that's the only area where I feel like it was negative. I think that, again, it's not to be super duper down on the movie. I thought the movie was good. I thought that it was executed well. It's just in this area, the social commentary area, that you can tell the movie wants to be thought-provoking and a conversation driver. It just doesn't deliver there. It delivers on the horror, though, and it delivers on the entertainment. All the performances were good. The practical effects were good. The tension that it sets up is nice. The story that it tells is like clear, but the social commentary part just didn't necessarily hit as much, or as I think they wanted it to hit. It didn't hit as hard as they wanted it to, and that's just my only negative, my only down, or the only failure of the film, in my opinion. But I would love to know what y'all think about the angry black girl and her monster. Again, I think it was good. I enjoyed it. I'd like to know what other people think. Let me know in the comment section below. And that's all we got for this one, y'all. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, and go watch something good.